Hey guys, Tarke here, and I want to do a quick comparison between the Explosive Arrow character that I'm currently playing and the one that I was playing earlier in the league, which ripped to level 84 on a failed Uber Lab face tanking a trap. Now, this isn't going to be a gameplay thing, this is just going to be me comparing two previous existing characters. If you want gameplay, wait for the next video. Now, why am I doing this? So, my Elementalist, which was a Mind of Matter Explosive Arrow, ripped to level 84, my Pathfinder is level 83, so they're at a pretty similar space, and they had similar levels of investment going into the gear. I actually spent slightly more on the Pathfinder, I think. So, how does the Pathfinder feel? Now, off the bat, it's kind of hard to judge my Pathfinder's performance recently, because I've been playing without EE, because I wanted to try out non-EE Explosive Arrow, if you want to know why I refer to my previous video. And also because I've been doing mostly duo mapping. And I've been wanting to spec back into EE to do direct comparison. However, the person I've been mapping with has been an Elemental Wander, so I would completely destroy their damage. I'm going to do tomorrow's stream just not solo mapping, but I want to do a good portion of solo mapping tomorrow and trying out EE, which is why I'm holding off and doing big map stuff till tomorrow. But for now, I just want to do a direct comparison between the two characters. So the Elementalist was Mind Over Matter, and the Pathfinder was Blood Magic. So off the bat, how has it felt playing a Mind of Matter Explosive Arrow build to a Blood Magic Explosive Arrow build? The Blood Magic Explosive Arrow build obviously feels smoother because there's only one resource you need to worry about. You only worry about the health. That being said, the Mind of Matter version felt tankier, and it really isn't that bad to play in all honesty. And I think that MoM might be the way to go with Explosive Arrow. I'm not sure. Either way, you're not really running auras. You can use Essence Worm on both, so it's mostly going to be a case of personal preference. Blood Magic's definitely much easier to level with. And you can do Mind Over Matter Pathfinders. You pick up stuff like Primal Spirit, pick up Druidic Rite, Mana Flows, Dynamo, Righteous Decree, obviously the MoM stuff, Deep Thoughts, and I've already said that, but anyway. The main issue with it is, if you do go for that, there is a lot of stuff you want to pick up. So if we just quickly look at the tree, if you were to do this as MoM, you want to be picking up so many extra points. You're looking at like a level 93, level 94 tree. So you need to be thinking about that. Also, it's not just a case of pick up every single mana node, because the thing with doing Mind Over Matter is you want your, you'd also change the routing, you do this. You want your mana to be roughly 30% of your health. Being slightly over that is fine, but you want it to be sort of in check. The reason being is the way that Mind of Matter works, so it's when hit 30% of damage is taken from mana before life. So if you had, for example, 7k life and 12k mana, most of that mana is going to be wasted and you're still going to get one shot because MoM is only 30%. So when it comes to planning Mind of Matter Explosive Arrow builds, you kind of want to keep your health fairly high still and try and keep them somewhat balanced. So just comparing between the two characters. So this character has a Combs, it has Devoto's Devotion, a Winds of Change, and a Nahama Tiki. It's also using a Rearguard Quiver. The Elementalist was one level higher, and the only very major piece of gear it had was a Combs. Otherwise, it just had random rares. You can see I've got a light above accuracy on this ring, and we've got some cold damage on this ring. We haven't got any like crazy opals or anything. I was crafting opals earlier, but I kept hitting ES opals that I wanted to sell, so whatever. So the gear is very, very comparable. Now, if we hop on over to the Dead Elementalist, just want to show you something very quick. You can see that one level higher, we went from being just shy of 7k life to having 6k life and 3k mana. By the time you've put on Clarity, by the time you've attacked a little bit, let's just say it's 2k, you're looking at like roughly 7k to roughly 8k with a one level difference. So obviously this is slightly more resilient to one-shots, and that is without a quiver. I took the quiver off because I was using a rig on the other. The other one does have block, which is something you need to factor in. At the time, I was just using a rare quiver. If you do want to go full in on the block meme, I think like you are much better off going with the Pathfinder because you get the extra roomy scaling. That being said, you can still hit like a good 40-ish% block chance quite easily as a Elementalist, but you're much closer to 50% with all the extra flask effectiveness. Now, the thing which I think I prefer about the Elementalist and this isn't to bash on Pathfinder, I just feel like Elementalist is much smoother to get off the ground, is Elementalist just has a lot of raw damage. So if you look, I'm not using Winds of Change, I don't have projectile damage here, etc, etc. Didn't have Helm Enchant on either. This character did map a lot smoother. Now, you do need to factor in EE, and we can wait till tomorrow's video for that one. But a lot of it just comes down to the amount of raw damage you get for free from the Ascendancy. Now, most people assume that all the power really comes from Beacon of Ruin and the Prolith. Obviously, this helps. It does improve your map clear, but you get the extra movement skill, movement speed, and mobility of the Pathfinder. So I feel like those kind of even each other out. The times where Beacon of Ruin really pulls ahead when you're doing stuff like strong boxes with the stream of monsters, when you're running Breach, when you're running Beyond, is when you have mobs spawning into already dead mobs. That's when Prolith pulls ahead. If you're just doing like vanilla maps, then it isn't that noticeable. It's when you're doing these extra things like Breach and Beyond that you go, hang on, Beacon of Ruin is really tasty. I think the main thing which really makes Elementalist feel just better with minimal character investment, so we're talking like low level, not with very good gear, not with amazing 6 links, 5 links, etc, etc, is having stuff like Shaper of Desolation, having the random shock conflux, having the guaranteed ignites for a while, having all this just like free elemental damage, especially with Legion of the Primordial, right? I hadn't picked it up on this character yet, but you get so much just raw damage from being Elementalist, and because of that, if you haven't played Explosive Arrow before, or if you want Explosive Arrow on extreme budget or a league starter, I think Elementalist is going to be my go-to recommendation. I'm still very much a firm believer in Pathfinder Explosive Arrow. I've played Pathfinder Explosive Arrow before, and I feel like with enough gear investment, it does overtake Elementalist. I feel like it's a smoother mapper once you've reached that point. However, the thing with Explosive Arrow, which is very important, is Explosive Arrow, just because of its core mechanic, is it's all about reaching thresholds. So the way Explosive Arrow works is it's like, you fire an arrow, that's a fuse. The fuse hits the target, after delay, fuse expires. Okay. The fuses cap out at 5. So it's one of those things of, you attack single target 5 times, you let it explodes, big ignite, thing dies. The difference between having to only attack one set of fuses into having to go into the second set is huge, because it's delayed damage, right? So with Elementalist, you're going to reach that threshold of just enough damage to like one-tap most packs, or just throw a few fuses into one rare, quicker than you will as a Pathfinder. Explosive Arrow feels amazing when you're just one-tapping packs, and then just throwing like, 3 to 5 fuses into a rare, into a boss. It's when you get like a rare, and you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, explode, nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, explode, nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, explode, no. Oh, now it's dead. That's when Explosive Arrow starts to feel clunky, and that's kind of where I'm feeling a little bit on the Pathfinder at the moment, because I'm just not quite edging enough damage. So, yes. Very short video, I know, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that, since I'm not ready to do a full, update on the Pathfinder. Basically, MoM is better than Blood Magic, I feel, these days, but Blood Magic feels a lot smoother. Elementalist feels like a much easier stepping stone. Pathfinder, as we knew, scales harder with gear. So nothing that crazy, but I just kind of want to throw the thought out, because a lot of people have been talking to me today about why this, why that, and I just kind of wanted to put this out there. There will be a much more detailed, map-heavy Explosive Arrow video coming out soon, TM, once I've spent a little bit more time on my Pathfinder, fix the gear up a little bit, swap some points around the tree, but for now, this will have to do. I'm Tarke, have a good day, and bye-bye.